All right. So to explain how this send a function to the child component from the parent component, okay, let me create the two component first. So like let me create new file. I will create the component like increment component, okay, increment dot jsx, okay. Let me create another component decrement dot jsx, okay. So what I have created, I have created the two component, increment component and decrement. Import react from react. All right, export default function. Why I am writing this every time, so that you will get this habit, okay. Export default function, like name is like increment, right? Increment functional component which returns UI. Currently it's a blank. All right, similarly let me copy paste this one and create the decrement component. Name is the decrement. Perfect. Right, so we have created two component, increment and decrement. So this increment component, okay, let me create button, okay. Input type is equal to, let me give there as a button. All right, and let me give this increment component, okay. What will happen whenever we clicked on it, okay, it will increase the count, it will increment the count, click how many time we clicked, that will be increment, okay. So for that one let me create the one variable. Let me create, instead of creating like I will create the state management like use state, okay. Constant, let's give the name as a count. Second is the like a set count. All right, is equal to use state which has the initial value as a 0. All right, okay. Now on click on this and this button will display the value of the count. All right, so let me see first whether it is working or not, okay. Let me remove this child component because now we are using the parent component and increment or decrement as a child component. So increment, okay. So this is nothing but our component, increment component, right? So let's run it, let it compile. So here we can see, okay, void element tag must be implemented. So the here in increment, okay, no need to this because we have the only one single one. So let's try now. Perfect. Or still we are getting the issue. So what is this the issue we have here? All right, input type is equal to button count. All right, so let me give the name as a value is equal to count, okay. Let me run it. All right, so we got the value as a 0. All right, so what I want, okay, whenever I clicked on this, okay, that should increment. So I can write on click, right? On click function I can add the on click handler, right? I will create the one method on click handler, okay. All right, so I will create this function const on click handler. All right, what I am going to do, okay, let me take the another variable temp count. Whenever we click, we have to increment, right? Temp count is equal to count variable, we have count plus 1. All right, and that one I have to set it, right? Set count, I will set the temp count now. Okay, so whatever the increment value, we will store into the count variable. Now let's try. Let me close this one, refresh it. All right, as soon as whenever I am clicking, you can see it is incrementing, right? So like currently we are getting the values, right? Awesome. Now let's do one thing. Okay, so instead of displaying inside the button, okay, what I want to display the like above. Let me create one div first. Okay, all right. Alright, and in this div I will display simply this count. Alright, this count, and inside this one let me close this one. Alright, if we have the multiple tags, so we have to wrap into the single. Okay, so let me use this fragment to close into the single one. Let me format it. Okay, let me explain what I have did. Okay, so what I did, I have created a simple one tag where I am displaying the count instead of displaying over on the button. Okay, okay, simply I have given the like let me give the value as a like increment. Alright, so let's see on the UI increment. Here we can see whenever we are clicking, this count is getting increase. Okay, so what I have did, I have created the increment counter. Okay, so I have created one button where on click on this button I am simply increasing the count. Alright, now similarly I have to create for the decrement also. Okay, so logic will be the same. Let me the copy paste this one. Where is the decrement? Yes, so what I am doing, I am copy pasting the logic of the increment, okay, inside the decrement. Okay, the only the difference is like I have to change the button name. It's like a decrement. Okay, and here instead of plus I have to give it as a -1. Alright, so let's see now. And in parent component, okay, I have to use as a decrement. Okay, sorry, I have to include both actually to explain this example. Okay, now what I have to do, I am going to add the decrement also. So I have the both component inside the our parent component, like increment as well as the decrement. So let's see on the UI. Okay, used it because we have copy pasted, so we have not imported here. Okay, so where we have used like used it, right? So we have to import this one first. Okay, so that it will work. Okay, so here you can see we have the increment, we have the decrement. Okay, so now you can see this both having its own state, right? When I'm clicking on the increment, it is increasing his count. Okay, when I'm decrement, it is decreasing the another count. Okay, so let's say if I want the common count, okay, let's say 0. When I clicking on this, it should display 1. Okay, when I'm clicking on the decrement, it should decrease that current count, not its own. Okay, so these are the different two counts. Now these are the separate two counts. What I want this count should be like common. Okay, so when I'm clicking on the increment, it should increase that count only. When I'm clicking on decrement, it should decrease that count only, not its own count. Okay, so I have to make it as a common now. Okay, so how I can make it? Okay, instead of creating this variable, declaring inside this each component, okay, decrement and increment component, we have this count, right? Instead of declaring that one, okay, what I will do, I will declare this one, okay, inside the parent component. Okay, so let's move this to the parent component. Okay, whatever we have, this one I will move it to the parent component. Let me remove it from the child component. Let's paste here. Okay, similarly remove from the decrement also. All right, so what we have done, we removed from the increment and decrement and pasted into the parent component. Now we have this count in the this one. Now what I have to do, I have to pass this count, okay, to this increment and decrement, because this is the common, right? We want to display as the same count. All right, so instead of displaying the count in the each one, right, each component has displaying its own count, right? Instead of making it displaying two time, I want to print this count only once. That will be the common. So what I will do, I will move this one to the our parent component. All right, so I have moved that count to display on the parent component. Okay, so this count is the part of parent component. Now in the increment and decrement, we don't have the count. All right, so we have moved to parent component. Now, okay, what will happen when we click on this button, on click handler? Okay, but we don't have any, right? Because we have moved that one, that we don't have the what we called access, right? Because we have removed, we have not passed as a props also. So what I will do, I will move this also on click handler. Okay, so on click handler, I can move this one to the parent component. Okay, let's move this function, okay, to the our parent component. All right, so I moved this function to the on click handler. Okay, now increment and decrement only has the button. Okay, no function, no handler, only the button, increment and decrement. Okay, so let me save it, all things. I have moved this count to the parent component and also the function. Okay, but when we compile it, we are getting the many issues. Like first one is use state. Okay, let me import this first, use state. Okay, let's save it now. Let's see whether it is successful. Still we are getting failed to compile. What is the issue? On click handler is not defined, because in increment on click we are calling the on click handler, but this on click handler is not a part of increment, or not, it's not a part of the decrement. All right, because we have already moved this to the parent component. Now what we have to share the function, because now this is the part of the parent component, this function on click handler, which will be the work as increment or decrement, it's the part of the parent. Now I have to share this function, okay, reference of this function to the child component, so that whenever the child want to use this function, they can use it, right? So how to pass that one? Same like whatever we did for the properties kind of thing, we have to do it. Like let me give the I will simply give the name is what we called variable name, right? So what should I give this, like a proper variable, let's give the name as a increment method. This is nothing but the my attribute, okay, equal to, I have to give the name of this on click handler method, right? So increment method is nothing but the on click handler. Okay, so this is nothing but the increment method, okay, equal to, this is nothing but our variable, right? This is nothing but the variable which has the reference of this on click handler. Okay, now when you go to this increment, okay, so in increment, okay, it will be received as a props, right? Because we have sent it as a props, right? Simply we have created the variable, we have passed the reference of the on click handler. Inside this increment we are extracting through the props. Okay, now simply on click of this we have to use as a props dot whatever the method name we have given, like we have given the name as a increment method. Perfect. Now increment method has the reference of this on click handler, so whenever we click on this it will call our on click handler method. Similarly for decrement also. Okay, so let me give the copy paste. Okay, instead of like increment method, what I will do, I will use the name as a decrement method. Okay, and similarly in the decrement also we have to receive this through the props. Okay, and on click handler we have to use as a props dot what is the value we have passed to this decrement component as a decrement method, right? Alright, so what we have did, like we have passed the reference of the functions. Okay, awesome. So now let's try to run it. So it's a successful. Alright, so we got the increment and decrement. Let's try to click on the increment. 1 2 3 4, increment is working fine. Decrement still it, oh, so we have added the copy paste, so both are the increasing, right? On click handler it is decrement, and like we have to decrease it, but as we have called this on click handler and has the logic of only the what we called the increment or decrement, right? So what we have to do, we have to add some conditional logic. If it is like increment, then we have to increase, or otherwise we have to decrease it, right? So to make it as a conditional increment or decrement, what I will do, whenever we are calling this function, I will pass, if it is increment I will pass the value as a 1, and if it is decrement I will pass the value as a -1, so that let's say I will accept the one parameter value. Okay, and instead of 1, okay, I will add that value. If it is increment I will receive the 1. Okay, so count plus 1 it will increment. If it is a decrement it will receive the -1, count -1. So in this way it will work. Okay, so now let me pass this variable. Okay, so in previous lectures I have showed you like how to pass the variable, okay, to function. So simply we have to write this way. Okay, and pass the variable name, like let's say this is the like increment, so I will add, like I will pass the 1. Okay, and same for the decrement. Okay, we have to pass the argument kind of this. Okay, and here I have to pass as a -1. Okay, so for increment I am passing as a 1, and for decrement I am passing as a -1. So and here once we call this function, okay, because we are calling the same function from both, right, only based on the value we are incrementing or decrementing. Okay, so that should work. Okay, let's go to the our UI. So let me rerun it. Okay, alright, so let me try to increment. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So increment is working perfectly fine. Let's try with the decrement. 9 8 7 8. Perfect, so it's working perfectly fine. Awesome, so increment and decrement is working perfectly fine. So what we have done, okay, instead of writing this count and function as a part of increment or decrement component, like child component, we moved to this, to the parent component, and we have shared the reference of this function to this like a child component. Okay, so simply it is the same, like whatever we send the data kind of thing, same we have to do it, like a variable name and then the like a whatever the name or like value of that one. Okay, on click handler. Okay, now once you got this one, okay, there we have to extract to the props. Okay, props that whatever the name we have given, this is nothing but the method name for us, like a on click handler. Then we have passed the variable to make it as the increment or decrement. Hope so guys, now you are clear how to use the function from the parent into the child component. You are new to channel, okay, please do subscribe, like and share the video, and do not forget to click on the notification bell icon so that whenever the new upload or new tutorial series has started, you will get the notification. So please subscribe to the channel. Thank you.